Dr. Freeman, Barney said you were...
Sniper streets. These sniper-filled streets are where we developed both the enemy and the core of the experience we hoped players would have. We knew we wanted the sniper to shoot things near the player, so we first focused on finding a variety of interesting targets for them to hit. We found it worked well if we used the player's view as a factor in selecting objects. The sniper's always-on laser sight meant that players had a constant indicator of the sniper's attention, so having it drift to a target that the player was looking at felt really responsive and provided great moments of tension.
Sniper Streets 2. Bullets in Half-Life 2 don't actually follow a flight path. They arrive at their target instantly. But for the sniper, with its slow rate of fire and the player's close attention to every shot, we wanted to simulate bullet travel. This approach also worked better with laser sight, where the sight flicks off and the bullet lands shortly after, depending on the distance to the sniper. However, this change introduced a new issue. We didn't want players to just sprint down the streets to evade shots, so the sniper had to lead a moving target, predicting where the bullet should hit. Predicting the player's future position was tricky, as players can change direction much faster than would be possible in the real world. So he added extra checks to catch behaviors like players quickly tapping left and right as they ran.
Dr. Freeman, I'll come with you. I'm sticking here.
Sniper Streets 3. One feature we tried in these streets was suppression fire. Many players hunkered down at the end of the street, would fire a burst at the sniper's window to see if it had any effect. So we experimented with making the laser sight flicker off briefly, giving players a moment to relocate. But after a number of playtests, we encountered two issues. First, it disrupted the tense move-and-hide gameplay we aimed to create with a sniper. Sprinting while firing wasn't much different from other actions we asked of the players in City 17. The second, more subtle issue was that players who discovered suppression fire first assumed it was required and would burn through ammo fast. If they ran out halfway through, they'd often give up, thinking they'd failed. If they made it, they'd frequently be left with no ammo. On the other hand, players who completed the scenario by stealth used almost no ammo at all. This resource gap between approaches made it near impossible to balance ammo for the sections that followed, so it didn't make it into the final game.
Help! Is somebody up there? Help me! Help! Help me! We thought we'd be sleeping down here. What do we know? The place was infested. The rest of them headed upstairs. They took the chance for the snipers. I guess they're still up there.
Would you? Gordon, lob a couple grenades. That'll clear them out. All right, thanks, Gordon. Let me get this gate. My civil protection status still gives me limited clearance.
Did you hear a cat just now? That damn thing haunts me. Get out of the way! Watch the head humpers, Gordon! There's an old building up ahead, a bank or a museum or something like that. Whatever the hell it used to be, now it's a nexus for overwatching systems. It's the main source of pain for this part of town, thanks to a huge suppression device raining down hell from the roof of that place. There it is, the Overwatch Nexus. Looks like they're mobilizing big time. You can sort of see the gate from here. I'll show you when we get to street level. We'll have to get in that building to open the gate. Even then, the suppression device will suppress anyone coming through unless we shut it down. Then let's go!
Sorry.
Do what is right, Dr. Serve mankind.
So much for stealth. Telling you about. We'll have to come back here after we get it open. If we get it open. You're not gonna hurt that thing from down here, Gordon. We'll have to shut it down from inside. Open fire!
Choosing instead to embark on a path of ignorance and decay. Make no mistake, Dr.
Here, have a med kit. Take this med kit.
Uh-oh, turrets. Hey, you've got the HEV suit. You deal with them. Then I'll work the security console. Great. I'll open this up. Uh-oh, drop ships. They'll be coming from the roof. If we want to get through these shields, we'll have to take out the generators one at a time.
Action detected.
That'll shut down the suppressor on the roof as well. Let's head for the roof now, Gordon. Get down! Done.
Dr.
I'm gonna
Freeman,
stay
wait.
here and
We'll
keep
come
these
with you.
gates open long enough to make a difference. Go on up and connect the sky bridge. We need to let reinforcements come through from every possible direction. If any more citizens come through, I'll send them up to find you. See you when I see you, Gordon.
You lead the way.
Anything you say, Doc.
Follow Freeman.
Roof mortar. By the time we built the level track up to this point, it was obvious that it'd be fun for the player to get to use the mortar. I suppose that's the type of thing that should have occurred to us earlier. You think anyone will want to launch the explosives into the sky and have them drop down onto the bad guys? Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, players have spent all this time on the receiving end of it, so it would have been a nice reward to get to serve the Combine some of their own medicine. But as soon as we started to think about it, we realized how much work there'd be. Which, to be fair, is a thought you have every single day when you set out to make a video game. The mortar would need animations and effects now that the player is next to it, and there'd be a fair bit of work to implement a nice escalation of enemies down in the plaza to use it on. But even more fundamentally, we had no interface for a weapon this unique. How would players aim and fire it? It's hard to feel good about spending lots of time on a single moment in the game, so we decided our efforts were better spent elsewhere and moved on. Sorry. Perhaps we'll solve the design conundrum of the mortar in a future installment of the Half-Life series.
off the suppressor and open the gate, we can really move.
Strider. This area in front of the bank was where we figured out the Strider. When we first saw the concept art for it, we knew we wanted to get it into the game, but there were a ton of questions about how it would practically work. We'd never moved something that size through our game world, and at that scale, it needed to be dangerous, but how would players actually fight it? As with all of our enemies, there was always a question of how we'd get gameplay out of it. What kind of tools would level designers need to build scenarios with it? These were the kinds of questions we set out to answer in our experiments in this map.
We can really move people through now.
Strider. This area in front of the bank was where we figured out
Strider 2. Iterating on the Strider here finally gave us an experience we were happy with, as players needed to dash from cover to cover, avoiding its fire while hunting for rockets. We wanted players to feel like they were diving into cover at the last second, so we tuned the Strider's stitching gunfire pattern to telegraph impending danger. We also built a system of tracks for the Strider to follow, allowing it to dynamically switch between them to pursue the player or establish line of sight. This setup enabled level designers to carefully align Strider tracks with player cover for a balanced experience. The Strider's leg positioning was driven entirely by code, and its unpredictable movement meant we often had to fine-tune things to ensure it reliably picked a car or troop container when needed.
Perf Arena. This arena came with a major challenge: performance. Its size and the combined Strider and Citizen AI pushed our limits here. When we ported Half-Life 2 to the Xbox, this arena couldn't ship without some design adjustments. Preserving the original intent and delivering the same player experience with fewer tools and space was a tricky balance.
Strider 4. While this map was the production map built for the Strider, we still had an original development map for testing its AI. We've always found a lot of value in having a solid test map for an AI, as it allows us to quickly try out new gameplay ideas and tune them easily. If there are bugs or design issues, we can isolate and iterate on them faster. Once the AI features are working well, we transplant them into the production maps for level designers to work with. The Strider's test map included rough outlines of ruined buildings with infinite citizen spawners at various locations and heights to provide a constant stream of targets. This setup allowed us to refine the Strider's AI and stance changes to make it interesting and engaging, even to just sit back and watch it in action.
Space reuse. Returning to this space brought multiple advantages. First, the obvious one. Production costs for new areas are always high, so if we could add more gameplay to an existing area, it's a win. But for a hard fight like this one, where the player faces multiple Striders, reuse has extra benefits. Since players have been through it before, they already have a sense of the arena layout. This time they're moving back to front, but the path largely follows their original route. This familiarity is useful when players need to move forward to grab resources for the fight. City 17's war-torn state also gave us the flexibility to adjust cover and add smaller obstacles along the path, keeping the environment dynamic and surprising.
plaza, knocking over walls, and I think he's looking for Alex. He seems to have it set in his head that she's in the Citadel. I figured out Alex wouldn't want him getting any deeper in trouble, but hell, you try stopping him. Hey, dog! Not there! You can't get through that way! Well, I'll be damned. I think he wants you to go through, Gordon. You'd better hurry.
Citadel Steep Landing. The Citadel was built very late in development, and initially we had no clear vision for its gameplay. This isn't uncommon. While game design usually drives our process, big creative choices we make early on, such as the existence of the Combined Citadel, need specific design work done to fit into the final product. After the previous chapter's climactic battle, we thought a different tone for the finale here in the Citadel would feel more rewarding, even if we wanted to raise the stakes. Creating new mechanics and NPCs was too risky this late. Our first plan was to make it a passive narrative spectacle, a train ride through the heart of the Combine war machine, ending in Breen's office. But after we developed that plan, we spent a few days prototyping super gravity gun mechanics, thinking that at the game's end, we could fulfill players' wishes by making them all-powerful, without disrupting the game design's overall balance. The results were immediately promising, leading to a quick redesign to incorporate the super gravity gun. Rather than traditional end-game challenges, we wanted the player to feel godlike, grabbing enemies at will, ripping consoles off walls. In the end, the Citadel blends these two concepts, alternating between spectacle and unleashed power.
Citadel entrance. We built the route into the Citadel backwards. The interior geometry was created as an art prototype to perfect the look. We knew you were coming from the sewer pipe in our Street War map and had to create a section of slides and jumps into the Citadel entrance to connect them.
Lightmap Pass. The Citadel interior is relatively simple geometrically, but the combined metal material and the dramatic lighting help sell the immensity of the structure. Lightmap resolution was increased on important, interesting surfaces and reduced on ones that were fully shadowed or distant. Also, due to the large size of the Citadel spaces, unnecessarily large lightmap surfaces had a significant performance cost. Near the end of the development, there was a large pass done throughout the Citadel levels to optimize these values for visual interest and performance. This was made easier by a new feature added to the Hammer level editor that would display surfaces with their luxel density.
weapon strip. Once we introduced the super gravity gun, we really didn't want players returning to their conventional weapons, so we did the only rational thing. We disintegrated them. It helps to have an inscrutable supernatural enemy like the Combine as the antagonist of your game, because it stands to reason that they could simply just have a disintegrator. Why not? And if, for some reason, we had needed you to have your loadout back in the middle of the level, wouldn't you know it, they also have a reintegrator.
Super Gravity Origins. By this point in development, we were confident in the design of the gravity gun. We wanted to give the player a taste of feeling omnipotent, and set to work on making a supercharged version. It didn't take long, truly maybe a day of prototyping, before we had something that we liked and it became the core of the gameplay of the Citadel. With our physics engine complete, we were free to find new and exciting ways to push it past its previous limits and yield whatever fun results came of it. Our prototype object, an ultra-heavy watermelon that weighed hundreds of pounds in our physics sim, ultimately became the Combine balls you experience in the game.
Dissolved weapons. All the Combine's weapons were set to dissolve after the Combine soldier was ragdolled with a gravity gun for 2 reasons. 1, so players wouldn't pick them up and use them, but also to improve the performance in these maps. Additionally, a ragdoll manager was added that would remove the fallen soldier ragdoll corpses as the player progresses forward.
Combine ball and balls training. In playtests, players were not noticing that the Combine spheres dissolved the soldiers and why they were disappearing. We initially tried to solve this by making the spheres prefer to bounce towards enemies to increase the likelihood of dissolving kills. We eventually realized that the reason players didn't notice the effect was because it always happened during intense combat, and people have a very limited ability to learn new things when under stress. As a late-effort remedy, we inserted a low-pressure training room with a force field that can only be opened by grabbing the Combine ball. This setup was added specifically to train how Combine balls work to deactivate force fields, and that punting it at the soldier would dissolve them. Even then, in the playtests, it was only moderately successful. Despite our efforts, some of the players still struggled to perceive the dissolving effects of the projectiles. We ran out of time and decided that since players were still telling us they were feeling powerful, it was okay if not all of them perceived why they were succeeding.
What started life as a watermelon in prototype form ended up turning into an energy ball after the sounds made for its impact and explosion sounded less like produce and more like what we have here in the game. Once we started iterating on levels that weren't watermelon-based, we realized we could use the energy ball not just as a fun way to kill soldiers, but also as a puzzle element for powering up and down various equipment. At a significantly later point in development, we were not liking the AR2 alt-fire we had at the time, and since the team liked the Combine ball, we ended up incorporating it right into the AR2 alt-fire. We always look back and are surprised at how the things we are working on independently of one another in the game come together late to solve problems.
Creative work is never done in a vacuum, as we're all inspired by other things. Breen's monologue that appears on the Citadel monitors here got some inspiration from an earlier game we all love, Thief 2, in which the antagonist taunts the player while they're sneaking around. The execution is quite different, but the core inspiration is there. The real heavy lifting, however, what really sells this moment, comes from the performance by the late Robert Culp. His delivery was pitch perfect. He interpreted each of Breen's lines with a subtlety and flair that transformed the character on the page into something truly special. A voice session with Robert Culp was as easy as they come. He'd have the script, and the engineer would hit record, and that was about it. The lesson reinforced here is to work with people whose talent exceeds yours, people you're certain to learn from. Don't go in with a fixed idea of how the line should be delivered or how a certain moment should play out, but instead, collaborate with talented people and go into it trusting they'll make it even better.
Elevator fight. Even though we wanted the player to feel all-powerful, We couldn't resist the temptation of adding a tough fight at the elevator shaft. The battle waiting for the arrival of the elevator here ended up being somewhat more difficult than originally envisioned for this part of the game. It became easier during playtesting, but there really wasn't enough playtesting time to balance it to the level it should have been. Though the player was never in that much danger, it is the number of soldiers that appear that makes it feel like more of a climactic battle than it is.
Placing the prefabs. The Combine energy balls are a relatively simple setup, with a force field holding the perpetually bouncing objects. However, during playtesting, there were repeated bugs with the energy balls bouncing around, going rogue, and escaping the force field we set up to contain them. Due to the limits of our prefab tech at the time, this required them to be manually rebuilt multiple times at every one of their locations in all of the Citadel levels that included them.
I have laid the foundation for humanity's survival.
Fight. One of the original Citadel prototypes included being able to grab the Strider with a super gravity gun. And for a long time, the fight with the Strider was about getting close enough to grab him with the gun. Toward the end of development, we decided that grabbing the Strider made him feel too weak, especially after all the combat against them during Street War. so we replaced the encounter with one where you kill him with combine balls. Model pieces were added so the Strider could be jibbed and blown apart instead of dragging its body around. This is the only time in the game when a Strider has this effect.
Getting in the pod. The pod ascension sequence that starts here necessitated taking full control of the scene and the player view. This is contrary to our usual desire to have the player retain as much control as possible. For this final step, we felt the trade-off was worth it. The player is so powerful at this point that controlling them was difficult, so we had to disable them. We do still have all the characters in the scene talking to the player, keeping them the center of attention. We also were able to provide some narration through the environment along the way. The train ride through the Citadel starting here contains several adversaries that we had art content for but were cut from the main part of the game. From the safety of your cozy pod, you can see the processing of stalkers and a quick glimpse of the crab synth.
I'll take him from here. Don't struggle, it's no use. Until you're where he wants you, there's nothing you can do. I'm sorry, Gordon.
Carbon-starved, ancient satellites colonized by sentient fungi, gas giants, inhabited by vast meteorological intelligences, worlds stretched thin across the membranes where the dimensions intersect. Impossible to describe with our limited vocabulary.
What I've seen is also beyond words, Breen. Genocide, indescribable evil. Good God.
Well, if it isn't Gordon Freeman at last. What's this? I'll put it over there. You have my gratitude, Doctor. First you lead me straight to the doorstep of my oldest friend, and then you deliver yourself? If I'd known you were going to come straight up to my office, I wouldn't have bothered hunting you in the first place. Having both of you in my keeping ensures I can dictate the terms of any bargain I care to make with the Combine.
Dr. Breen. Wallace.
Yes, Judith, what is it?
The bargain we should be making is for Eli's life so he can continue his research.
Thanks to you, we have everything we need in that regard. You're more than qualified to finish his research yourself. What neither you nor I can do is convince that rabble in the streets to give up their senseless struggle. Yet Eli refuses to speak the words that would save them all.
Save them? For what?
Eli, if you won't do the right thing for the good of all people, maybe you'll do it for one of them.
Alex, honey.
Dad. Gordon?
God damn you, Breen, you let her go.
That's all up to you, my old friend. Will you let your stubborn short-sightedness doom the entire species, or will you give your child the chance her mother never had?
How dare you even mention her?
Alex, my dear, you have your mother's eyes, but your father's stubborn nature.
You haven't seen a bit of it yet.
Really? Well, let's see how well it serves you on the far side of a Combine portal.
Go ahead, Breen. If that's the worst you can do, send us both through your portal.
Oh, it's hardly the worst. But you might find that hard to believe once you get there.
It isn't necessary.
I agree. It's a total waste. Fortunately, the Resistance has shown it is willing to accept a new leader. And this one has proven to be a fine pawn for those who control him.
No!
Don't listen to him, Gordon.
How about it, Dr. Freeman? Did you realize your contract was open to the highest bidder?
Gordon would never make any kind of deal with you.
I understand if you don't wish to discuss this in front of your friends. I'll send them on their way, and then we can talk openly.
Don't struggle, honey.
Dad, I'm so sorry.
Alex, sweetheart.
Judith, what do you think you're doing?
We're doing what I could never do alone. We're stopping you.
Yes.
Guards, get in here! They know you betrayed them. They'll turn on you. Judith, Dr. Mossman, please!
I'm sorry, Wallace. You're all out of time. Don't...
Hurry! Dad, hang on.
You fool!
Watch out, he's gonna...
No!
Final scene. Locking the player in a pod for the final confrontation in Breen's office was a bit of a compromise, but it allowed for a focus on the characters that we really couldn't provide elsewhere. All of the characters' arcs reach their conclusions in this scene, and constraining the player to this point of view creates the opportunity for a real emotional payoff, a climactic scene powered by the combination of dialogue, voice performances, and animations. The scene was a challenge to pull off from a production standpoint, setting up the right blocking and motion, getting effective timing and emotional synergy and connection from all of the individual animations and vocal performances that were recorded separately. It took a lot of tuning before it reached some dramatic synergy and really felt like all of the characters were actually connecting.
Come on.
Gordon, we haven't known each other very long, but I know you didn't have to do this. I had to rescue my father, but you... Well, thanks for coming after me.
It's me you should be...
Hey, listen.
I can still deliver...
That's him.
But not without your help. The portal destination is untenable. Surely you can set the relay elsewhere. There's no way I can survive in that environment. A host body, you must be joking. I can't possibly...
There he is.
Oh, all right, damn it, if that's what it takes. Just hurry, he's right behind me. Oh, shit.
Damn it, not again!
The gravity gun. He doesn't have a clue, does he? I wonder where he's going. Oh my god. This is the Citadel's dark fusion reactor. It powers their tunneling entanglement device. We'll never have a chance like this again. We've got to stop Dr. Breen. I can't shut it down. Looks like he's turned over control to the other side. You'll have to go into the core and do what you can. Get in the elevator and I'll let you know. Don't forget to charge up your suit. Do your worst, Gordon. But be careful.
Endgame Scramble. There was originally a significantly larger choreography scene slated for the end of the game. However, the choreo team was very busy with the huge amount of storytelling work remaining throughout the game. To take some of the work off their plate, the Citadel gameplay cabal was asked to instead create a gameplay endgame scramble. There was originally a significantly larger choreography scene slated for the end of the game. However, the choreo team was very busy with the huge amount of storytelling work remaining throughout the game. To take some of the work off their plate, the Citadel gameplay cabal was asked to instead create a gameplay challenge to wrap up the game. It could be a puzzle, combat, anything.
You, on the other hand, will be destroyed in every way it is possible to be destroyed, even in some which are essentially impossible. I don't know what this has to possibly hope to achieve apart from their own annihilation.
Breen started his ascent. Hurry, Gordon, before he escapes. Keep going.
I could have told you that was pointless, Doctor.
Go, Gordon.
Are you still with us, Dr. Freeman? Not for much longer, I think. If only you had harnessed your boundless energy for a useful purpose.
Oh my God.
Combine portal effects. A key part of our development process is the way that any team member can contribute their skills to any part of the game. Once the final battle gameplay was solid, artists and visual effects programmers helped elevate the presentation of the portal to the Combine homeworld and the stop time effect at the very end of the game. A refractive shader similar to what we use for water was used for the Combine portal effect.
Go back, Freeman. You have no idea what you're doing. Don't know what you'll unleash. You could bring down this whole citadel. Think, man. Think of the people below. No!
Yeah! You did it! Come on, Gordon. We've got to get out of here. Maybe we still have...
Time, Dr. Freeman? Is it really that time again? It seems as if you only just arrived. You've done a great deal in a small time span. You've done so well, in fact, that I've received some interesting offers for your services. Ordinarily, I wouldn't contemplate them, but these are extraordinary times. Rather than offer you the illusion of free choice, I will take the liberty of choosing for you, if and when your time comes round again. I do apologize for what must seem to you an arbitrary imposition, Dr. Freeman. I trust it will all make sense to you in the course of... well, I'm really not at liberty to say. In the meantime, this is where I get off.